human behavior is the enemy. And it's our collective responsibility. So thanks for, I think, also elevating that piece of it. Colleagues, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start just with a few questions for Jacques, and then I'll take some questions from Hugh here. I'll take them in batches if you don't mind, and so we can deal with them from that perspective, Jacques. The first one, Jacques, that I want to ask you about, it's great that I see the work that's being done across the continent, the footprint that you've had, the impact that you've had. But what were some of the challenges? I think, we often hear about the good side of the story, but there's challenges in most things that we do. You also have alluded to the fact that we're in a new world. We can't use what we thought was right yesterday to solve those problems moving into the future. So we've got to fundamentally think differently. I love the point around you partnering with your critics, but you're partnering also with your competitors, which I think is absolutely amazing. And I'd like to give Jacques a round of applause for that, because that's a new business model, Jacques, and that really is something that's good. So Jacques, what are some of those key challenges that you're facing in implementing the circular economy?
If you look at Africa and maybe our footprint, Southern Africa, it's all about creating the scale so that you not only the collection piece, because we can do that across the markets, but you need scale to be able to do recycling. And that scale requires investment and capacity to be able to do that. So that's one of the big challenges. The second challenge linking into that, we talk about the Africa Inter-Free Trade Continental Agreement. We've signed it all, but none of the countries are applying that. So what we're trying to do, and that's one of the big challenges, is that the surrounding countries around South Africa cannot export, if I can call it that way, that PET waste to South Africa because there's tax regulations and certain governments doesn't want to allow it. Because we have to build regional offset points for recycling PET, because every market cannot invest in that. So it's a scale-driven thing. For instance, Namibia can't do it. There's 2.2 million people, can't do what we can do in South Africa, for instance. Or we can do it on a hub basis. And in East Africa, the biggest challenge we have is not around the collection or building the infrastructure around the collection. It's about building that infrastructure to be able to recycle. A lot of the plastic in the past was exported to the East in terms of whether it was used for different products and reused in different products. But we want to do something in Africa to create value where we can put some of the recycled content back into our bottles, back into food packaging that we can reuse constantly. And if we can scale that, I really believe we can clean the environment and we can have an enormous impact on the environment, a positive impact on the environment. So biggest challenge for us is to build that scale with our partners, and we're co-investing with them, by the way. We've made decisions to increase some of our cost basis, so deliberately investing in building an infrastructure so that we can do recycling across the continent. And that's one of the biggest challenges for us. So if we can have more parties playing a role there, we can do so much more.
That's brilliant. And I think that's commendable as well, is to recognize that scalability is the problem, but how do we scale then? And I think that is really, it gives a good sense of what we need to do collectively to solve the problem that we are in at the moment. Jacques, you spoke a lot about the collaboration, and I've also picked up on the partnerships that you've had with other organizations, individuals. The stories that we heard up there, really nice to see that we're giving others an opportunity to build themselves up as well. But collaboration with other organizations, NGOs, governments, industry peers, to really advance this, to get that scalability. You've mentioned that, but how open are others to being able to partner as well then in this case here?
Look, we do find that industry across our footprint are very keen. And when we started in 2004 with Petco, industry really came together, which was really, for me, we all have a common goal. And if we believe in a common goal, although we compete in the market, let's work together on the things that makes a difference for all of us. And that's really the key thing. So we're really encouraged about that, and we still see a very strong industry commitment and industry push and an industry buy-in into that. In East Africa, on the other markets we operate, we're starting off now with that process. We're leading it because we're proud to lead that as well. And we see some of the other competitors coming into the fold as well. Not as fast as what we had in Southern Africa, but we believe over time that we'll see more of them coming into the pot as well.